often do we have ladies who look like Lieutenant General Madhuri Kanitkar and gain this particular height of name and fame. It is my proud privilege to welcome you, ma'am, and I look forward to whatever that you are going to share with us this morning at the Tehrim Dass Memorial. Tehrim Dass is someone who is very dear to our college. Tehrim Dass is someone who has been very dear to me and my family, and I'm sure that whatever we gain from you this morning will prove to be very, very valuable.
Let me start by introducing our very, very special and inspirational chief guest. We just celebrated International Women's Day, and it gives me great pleasure to introduce our esteemed keynote speaker for the 6th Tehrim Dass Memorial Lecture, Lieutenant General Madhuri Kanitkar, AVSM, VSM, a shining role model for women and men across the country and the world. In a recently published media story on her, Lieutenant General Kanitkar said, "A soldier does not have a gender. Gender is in our minds, and our gender is our power." Her life is a powerful testament to these words. Speaking of her experiences, General Kanitkar says, "The armed forces groomed me. It's an organization that toughens you and gives you an opportunity to become an officer, remain a lady, and practice your profession." Lieutenant General Kanitkar has had an inspiring and exemplary professional journey. The general officer who assumed the prestigious appointment of Deputy Chief Integrated Defence Staff Medical in February 2020 was commissioned in the Army Medical Corps in December 1982. She is a medical graduate of the Armed Forces Medical College, Pune University, and postgraduated in MD Pediatrics from the Indian Navy Ship Hospital, Aswini. Lieutenant General Kanitkar stood first in Pune University in all the 3 phases of MBBS and was awarded the President's Gold Medal and Kalinga Trophy for the best outgoing student of the graduate wing in academics and extracurricular activities. What an awesome track record. Later, she postgraduated in pediatrics from Mumbai and did training in pediatrics nephrology from the All India Institute of Medical Sciences, Delhi. This was followed by fellowships at NUH Singapore and GOS London. She has also completed the FEMA Fellowship in Medical Education. Lieutenant General Kanitkar has held various key staff appointments and prestigious positions, including Professor and Head, Department of Pediatrics at the Armed Forces Medical College, Pune. For her distinguished services, she was awarded the Ati Vashir Seva Medal in 2014 and received commendations by the Chief of Army Staff in multiple years and commendation by the General Officer Commanding in Charge in 2008. The General Officer's area of special interest is bladder disorders in children. She is credited with setting up of the first pediatric nephrology service in the Army Medical Corps. In 2018, she was nominated to the Prime Minister's Science Technology Innovation Advisory Committee and in 2019 to the Board of Governors of the Medical Council of India. Lieutenant General Kanitkar is a member of the Pediatric Research and Education Society of India, defining excellence. Her thrust is on aligning medical education and research to public health needs. A speaker at various national and global conferences, General Kanitkar is an academician par excellence and has written for renowned magazines and newsletters and science journals nationally and internationally. The general officer is an active sports person like my mother was. So I'm very delighted to know that as well. An avid golfer and has an interest in traveling. So did my mother, and that's why she was called Gypsy. She loved traveling and visiting historical places. An officer and family person, she is married to Lieutenant General R.V. Kanitkar, PVSM, AVSM, SM, VSM retired, and has two delightful children. Son Nikhil is an entrepreneur, and daughter Vibhuti works in Microsoft, Seattle, USA. General Kanitkar, we are delighted to have you in our midst for this first of its kind hybrid talk, where students and faculty members of the Avadh Girls Degree College are in the auditorium, and an august audience eagerly looks forward to hearing you virtually on this Microsoft platform, and that is beyond borders. Thank you once again, and we look forward to your talk.
A woman with foresight and vision. I've read her life. I think everyone needs to hear and be inspired by her.
Mrs Tehrim Dass, born in 1933, started her lifelong voluntary social work as a member of the YWCA in Delhi at the age of 15, attending leadership training programs and workshops on education, women and development conducted by the YWCA of India in Delhi. She enhanced her understanding of these issues. She married Amarjit Kumar Das, IP, in 1954. Until her husband's retirement as the first Director General of Police UP, she devoted herself to welfare work for the families of policemen as Secretary and then President of the Police Welfare Association, which had 70 centers across the state. From 1975 to 1980, Mrs. Das was the founder executive director of the Center for Women's Studies and Development of the Isabella Thoburn College, Lucknow, a member of the consortium of 9 centers under the Asian Women's Institute. During this time, the Center for Women's Studies established an integrated rural development project under which rural women were provided literacy and education, healthcare services, sanitation and hygiene, and were educated about their rights. She participated in several workshops organized by the Asian Women's Institute in Penang, Malaysia, Singapore, Hong Kong, Seoul, and Tokyo, where she presented papers on themes relating to women's empowerment. As president of the Lucknow YWCA, she was instrumental in expanding its rural development project. She also established the Cheshire Homes in Lucknow and was the founder president for 8 years. She served as the chairperson of Mother Teresa's co-workers, who facilitated the Missionaries of Charity, Lucknow, with the management of 3 homes for destitute and terminally ill persons, a TB hospital, and a leprosy center. She was successful in getting 30 acres of land for the project with the support of the government. This is the largest piece of land the Missionaries of Charity have in the world for their noble work. Mrs. Das was president of the Family Planning Association of India, Lucknow branch for 6 years, and vice president of a large rural project known as NIRFAD, Naujil Integrated Rural Project for Health and Development in Mathura, where 118 villages are being developed by this NGO. She was also on the management committee of the All India Women's Conference, the National Council for Women, and Avadh Girls Degree College. She was also a keen sportswoman who won prizes for cricket, badminton, tennis, and table tennis. She was the president of the UP Women's Cricket Association in the 1980s. Mrs. Das was also a gifted musician. In 2013, the Lucknow Management Association honored her with a Lifetime Achievement Award for outstanding social work spanning 6 decades.
Thank you so much. At the outset, I would like to really thank you. A very good morning, and I feel so honored to be invited for this oration. I'm really, really humbled. So my regards and best thing to the president of the Avadh Girls School, Ms. Vaikaji, Professor Pandey, the manager, Dr. U. Chaturvedi, the principal, and the family of the Das family with Dr. Amrita, Dr. Kavita, Mr. Ajit Das, all the dignitaries attending this oration, as well as all my dear girls of the Avadh Degree College and dear friends. I feel very, very humbled to be invited to deliver this Tehrim Dass oration. After hearing her life, I feel even if a third of us chose to do even a fourth of what she envisioned, I think we would land up in the country that Rabindranath Tagore said, where the mind is without fear and the head is held high and knowledge is free. I'm sure our country would awaken to that. Since I had to give this talk just after Women's Day, I chose to talk on Choose to Challenge. And while speaking on this, I have a special connect with Lucknow. कहते हैं आप अवध आए हैं मुस्कुराइए. I think to this beautiful city and all the wonderful people of Lucknow, I really, really feel humbled. I have done a part of my schooling there. In fact, I was grounded in Kendriya Vidyalaya at RDSO Lucknow, and I passed out in my 11th standard in years back in 1977, and thereafter I've been visiting very often because the Army Medical Corps Center and College and Training Academy is in Lucknow. So I have very, very strong roots and fond memories of this city, and I bring to you great good wishes, and and I feel very humbled and honored to be delivering this oration to you girls. I really hope I could have been there in person and seen those young faces of women, which is, I think, the most exciting thing, because you girls are the future and you will learn to choose to challenge. I would like to start this talk with quoting Robert Frost that freedom lies in being bold. So whenever an opportunity comes, most of us women may choose to keep quiet, but we do have a choice of speaking up, and I think learn the art of knowing when to keep quiet and when to speak up. I think it's all about making the right choices, and I think as women, we can do it. I would like to start by dedicating this to great women like Tehrim Dass and my grandmother, Sarlabhai Khoth, who you can see in this picture, a 4'2" lady who was orphaned at 2 years, married at 9, widowed at 10, and this I'm talking of the very early 1900s, where child widows and that too orphan girls would have been left to the vagaries of society to fend for herself. But there was one woman who chose to challenge. It was her mother. Seeing how helpless this was, a fatherless girl, married, a child widow, thrown out by her in-laws, she sent her to Pune, another city which had people like the great Dhonduji Karve, who started later the Maharshi Karve Stri Shikshan Sanstha, and he would take in girls and child widows and educate them. And seeing that her girl was intelligent but had no options, her mother requested an uncle to drop her on his doorstep. And Maharshi Karve took her in, educated her. She went on to become a doctor at 29. And I stand before you, her granddaughter, getting all the inspiration from her. And my other sister, also a doctor in the picture, Dr. Nilima Kadambi, she's written a book, My Aji and I. Aji is the word for grandmother. It has been an inspiration for us, and the book is released by Dr. Majumdar, another great educationist. So education, women empowerment has been there in my blood, and I think it is what really draws me to give this oration, and I bow my head before the family who's instituted this oration in her honor, who had a similar vision long back and has given opportunity to so many girls to choose to challenge. So I will walk you through a little journey where I did have to make such difficult choices. That's me in July 1978, and it's a photograph taken when I had to give my CBSE board exam in 77 from Kendra Vidyalaya, to a journey of March 2020 where I became the third lady and the first pediatrician to reach the height of Lieutenant General. I think the biggest first challenge was joining AFMC. Coming from a background of where there was no one in the armed forces, having topped the CBSE, there was no reason why I should have landed up at a military medical college and vowed to join the armed forces for the rest of my service. Father was absolutely against it, but having studied in Pune, having been living with my grandmother, and a friend who was an Air Force officer's daughter took me to see this college. And I'm sure all these young women here from the erstwhile Loreto Convent, now the Avadh Girls College, must be having that pride moment when they know that they belong to this. That is the feeling I got when I reached AFMC, and I said, this is where I belong, this is what I want to do in my life. And the first challenge was speaking up to my father and saying, this is what I want to do. A 17-year-old girl standing up and saying, this is what I want to do. And again, it was my grandmother who told my father, let her do what she wants. And I think that is where my destiny was carved. Early lessons were the same that happened to all of you. So I want to tell you that it is okay to be normal. It is okay to make mistakes. So on one hand, I had a huge personal aspirations, expectations of my parents, college requirements, your teachers. Everyone would have so much when you are in such a top institution in Lucknow, getting the education of that girls would dream to want to get. On the other hand, there's peer pressure. You need to make difficult choices. There are distractions. Which teenager can say I'm not distracted? There's always a fear of failure. Well, I did this tightrope. I failed in my first part after having been a topper. But having said that, I learned early that when you want to have fun, you need to work hard, ensure all-round development, but don't lose sight of what you've got in mind. And I told myself, I walked in with this with my eyes open. I have to make and prove to myself before I can prove to my parents and the rest. And with that, learn to make the most of the challenges, whether it was a high jump or a long jump, the dramatics, all the clubs that were, and could walk out on finally on the D-Day not with just all those awards, but to share a small anecdote that actually AFMC was also because I'd met my future husband and then from NDA, a handsome young man, and we decided that we had both go again with no background of the armed forces. And so I think this was the biggest trophy that I won that day because we were married just before I graduated. And then the long road ahead became a little bit easier. And here I would like to quote that whenever there were choices to be made, whenever a path to be chosen, I told myself to quit or not to quit was not an option. And I can assure you there were lots and lots of such opportunities. I'll leave some to discussion with you and some I would like to mention. But I also quote Nadia Comaneci, who said, I don't run away from a challenge because I'm afraid. Instead, I run towards it because the only way to escape fear is to trample it beneath your foot. You want to learn to swim, just jump into the deep end. So you have to develop that confidence and attitude. And dear girls, you all can do it because the capability is within. The environment supports you. So it is your own desire and passion which matters. So armed with that, I think in journey, we won't spend too much time because I want more time on question answers with you. But I had to put my foot down a large number of times. Way back in 82, women were not going to the field, as was the first batch which was sent to a field hospital. And I was treated like extinct species, marched up to the then GOC and said that, oh, there's a lady here. And he says, no, I think you can't stay with the field unit. I don't expect a lady to live in a basha. please stay back in the city in the Alpha Mess where the Div headquarters is. And I flatly refused. I said, I have to be where I am. I have joined the armed forces to work. I will live where the men live. I went back to that and earned a lot of respect from my team and a lot of experience, because it's important to be with the masses. And that was my another small challenge that I won. Wasn't easy to give up to do a post-graduation with a small child, or choose, for that matter, choosing nephrology. The armed forces wasn't ready for it. There was no study leave being given. With children at home and spending my own leave to train myself, because passion, the heart is, the passion is, and not giving up on it. It took me 5 years to convince the armed forces, but refused to give up. And I went on to train in pediatric nephrology. There were difficult times, because 24 years of my 36 years where both of us were serving, we were not posted together. It's not easy for a woman to run a house, bring up her children. There were children everywhere. It was my passion. So it was pediatrics, there was home, and there was pulling out hair times. But that is where your strength, and you start becoming stronger when you take on challenges headlong. I wouldn't go into details about all the difficulties one had, but I think there are perceptions that a woman in a man's world with difficult seniors, but I think it is everywhere that you have to face such challenges. And my last tenure was also excellent when I was in Udhampur, and it was such a amazing opportunity to work, to travel, to see and work with the young medical officers and the soldiers who were right out at all borders, but taking on all those with enthusiasm. I think that is what made the difference. So to all you girls, I'd like to bring your notice to a little piece of art from Japan, which is called Kinsokuroi. Kinsokuroi is where a porcelain jar, when it cracks, they use gold glue to give those. And look at that pot. Doesn't it look more artistic and beautiful? So I think the spirit lies in being damaged but not destroyed. So let your challenges etch those golden, little cracks on you, which actually make you shine better. I think that is what is important. And in that, like I always tell, women are amazingly competent, amazingly capable. Have you ever seen a god with as many hands as a goddess is shown? Because we can multitask. That one extra chromosome we all have makes all the difference. And we do learn to balance out all these aspects. But having said that, let us not feel that we have to be perfect at everything. Let us accept to be less than perfect, and we make our little mistakes. And if you accept it, the family accepts it, your colleagues accept it, and let you and encourage you. I think that is what's important. And in that, in this long journey, like I said, I have found the best this thing, and I'm extremely lucky to have found General Kanitkar, a path, a companion on the path, though we were most of the times posted far apart. When he retired, he said, I'm going to move with you. So the last 4 years, he moves wherever I'm posted and continues to be my pillar of strength. And being a more quiet person, he's given me a lot, which I'd like to share. Like some of the things he says is, there are 3 T's which are important in life, which never come back when you lose it. The time, the tongue, and the trust. Or the importance of telling you all, especially the young generation, that there is a beauty in learning to adjust, adapt, and then adopt. Because we give up too fast. We want to, it's like, yes, today I will change a phone, tomorrow I'll change a car, I'll change a job, I'll change a spouse. You can't keep on giving up on things. You make things work and do not give up. I think that is most important. And for all of you who are looking at life in future, I think the mantra that he taught me was, let us grow together without growing apart. And that led us to being the first Lieutenant General couple in India. And we feel so happy that whenever I wanted to, he would say, no, you can do it and let's work on this together. And in India, again, We are extremely lucky. So take little time to be thankful that your family has provided. A lot of you would have a lot of people who take a lot of pains in ensuring the best of education for you. You are already the empowered woman. Now you have to choose, what am I going to do with this? I have a family to support. My culture, my Sanskriti. I mean, this is our roots. How many of us, really take time to smell the roses, to consider ourselves extremely endowed, lucky and beautiful, and how are we going to return this? Because finally, you keep on gaining degrees. Information in schools and colleges can give you all, even Google gives you information. But it has to change into knowledge. It becomes knowledge when you start applying it. And when it starts impacting other people's life, this information and knowledge becomes wisdom. So I think we need to keep learning to reflect on this fantastic education that we're all lucky to get, and also hold our roots in our culture, in our Sanskriti, be proud to feel we are Indian. And I think this is so important that we need to get up in the morning and feel grateful and say, wow, I've got this education, I'm studying here, I've got this, I've got a lovely country. What am I going to do today? I think that is what keeps you charged. And then in the armed forces, and I'm sure even outside, you always have friends who make your life so much worth it. Let us acknowledge all these things because you remain happier all the time. And I would like to narrate you 5 stories of great women who chose to challenge on various occasions and who have added a leaf of experience to my own life and made it so, so beautiful. It starts with Garima. Garima was a little baby, all of 650 grams, born at 27 weeks. And I was so happy to see that one of my students in Lucknow has saved a 24-weeker, and he shared his story at the command hospital, which came out in the papers. Well, this was in the 1900s, and this baby was born in a small military hospital, would have been where we did not have an intensive care unit, but she was born to fight and win, because the nursing at 28 weeks, before that, in those days, we all considered it an abortion. So the gynecologist had left and said, this mother's gone into labor at 26 weeks, ye abortion dikha do. The nurse rang me up as a pediatrician. I was a young major, saying, what to do? There is a heartbeat. I said, wait, if it's a girl, everyone says, girl, she will live. And I said, I want to give this girl a chance to live. And she taught me what it means to be born to fight to win. Because for 3 months, little girl and me, we struggled, we worked together, we had no incubators, we didn't have the fancy equipment, but all sorts of adaptations and innovations were done, and she lived. And it was so fantastic that in Delhi, this young lady who's seen in the middle picture is now studying for an IAS exam, and because of the social media, she managed to connect up with me, came and met me, and she was Jawan's daughter, and she said, I had to meet you, because all the time as a young girl, I felt there was something different, and my parents would show me this little picture and say that you survived for a bigger cause, go do something. And that is why she is studying for her IAS exam. Ananya is another girl. All of 1 year of age, she went into kidney failure, a naval person's daughter, and went through every possible complication. I won't get into the medical thing. Every time everyone wanted to give up, Ananya, little girl that she was, said she knew how to beat the odds, and all she was looking at the medical people was a little support, and a brave mother would say, I will be with it, let us work it. We got her out through dialysis, infections, complications, a transplant, a rejection of the kidney, the works. You have it all. She's like a textbook of nephrology. And Ananya beat all the odds, is now doing her design in a college in Pune. I mean, isn't that amazing? So women can do it. She beat all the odds. Varsha was a student of mine. If there was a problem on campus, Varsha had to be in it. If there was a big fight, Varsha was in it. There was everything which would go wrong. But somewhere, in her, I found there was a fire. There was a fire because she was not able to this. Given the right opportunity and mentoring, this girl went places. She used her creativity into the innovation, is now a young officer herself, and has joined, and she went on to represent India at the Holt Castle competitions for innovations in healthcare. I mean, this is where she dreamt big and she achieved it. And there's Karuna, lady here, had been she had not even joined college when I had passed out, but a young colleague of mine when I used to be fond of teaching. And she was passionate for medical education and convinced me that even for primary school, a teacher gets into a B.Ed education. And we medical teachers have no formal education. And she got me into this, so I call her my mentor. So sometimes your mentor can be even a colleague who is so much younger to you. And she said, ma'am, you must do it. And I went on to do a 2-year fellowship in medical education and took up research in the same. And when I went back as dean, she stood with me. With the two of us, we got a dream project of starting a regional center of Medical Council of India. And that's Dr. Paul in the picture. And we inaugurated this regional center for medical education and research at the Armed Forces Medical College. So I call her MAP is what takes you places, and that is a mentor, a right attitude, and a passion. And last but not the least is the woman in the center. I salute her because she's my domestic. Her name is Sunita, another woman who was a young girl from the village who her husband soon threw out because she was childless. He brought in a second wife. She came crying to me and I said, if I give you an opportunity, will you educate yourself? She agreed to it, took up a slate, started reading, writing, became literate, opened her bank accounts. Today she is running her own small job. She's got a house of her own. And not only did she do that, she looked after that same husband who threw her out till her dying day, and the second wife's children, getting them married, everything, and she's a respected woman. So opportunities, how to change them into challenges is what Sunita teaches us. So I thought I had to share with you that I have learned from a lot of people, and I think we all continue. Women will teach women how to do. And with these, I took on the new role of a dean at the Armed Forces Medical College. And at that point, I told myself, is it enough to just make small differences? I think we need to change our system. We need to teach people how to question. We need to make people say that it's okay to make mistakes. It's okay to have ecosystem which permits this kind of a thing, and that education is not just to give a degree, but it goes beyond, and to make you into good citizens and good human beings is the role of education. It needs to change the mind process, and with that in mind, created this first talk for the deans, which I share with you today, which is a dream for all students, that go beyond own expectations, dream big to bring laurels, but enjoy the process as well. If you take time to reflect, you may not have a path very clear cut. I want to be a doctor. You don't have to be something on the day one. But if you decided that whatever I do, I'm going to do best, path will keep finding its way. But more important is that it is okay to make mistakes. It's okay to fall down, and your teachers and your faculty is there to bring you back should you falter. So even if you've made mistakes, there are people watching, there are people with you. You're lucky to have teachers, you're lucky to have an institution. If you falter, let them get you back on track, because in you, we all see good human beings, good citizens of India, and good if we have to sort of get back the past glory of our nation, I think it is the people who will make a difference. And Abdul Kalam says you have to dream before your dreams can come true. So all of us teachers, on behalf of your faculty as well, dear students, I tell you that we all get into this educational field because we have dreams of seeing a great nation, and each of you will carry that forward. And while getting this, what I mentioned to you about information, knowledge, and wisdom, no amount of information, knowledge is all one-sided. you have two parts of the brain. There's a left side and a right side, and both are equally important. Whereas if there is a left brain which is teaching science, knowledge, attitude, logic, there's a whole right brain for language, religion, family, art, culture. And even in medicine, I said you need the left brain teaching the science of medicine, but you can't make a patient well unless you have the art of healing. So when we give education, I think we need to impart this aspect of how to use this education for the betterment of society and practice that art through our various right-sided activities and make these connections early. And therefore, all dear children, I call it the Pareto principle of 80-20. I call it the new funda. That is, that in your life, it's not just attendance that, schools and colleges want of 80% to say that you achieved almost 100. I think it's important if 80% of your time is focused on activities which are to get your degree or your profession, spend 20% at least on activities which will make you a richer person socially. Your friends, if they're 80 from your same field, have from different field, because it opens up your minds. Read not just your books, but read across so that you can talk about it, you can delve on it. So that is important. Then you don't need 99% perspiration, even 80% is enough. And therefore, with that, we brought in and like my deep-rooted value systems of culture. So there you are. I think if all of us had no religion or had all religions, imagine what a beautiful place. So this is what we created in AFMC, whether it was Guru Ka Langar or dressing up for Onam or having a Ganesh Puja. We celebrated all festivals with equal zeal and together as a family. And started for physical fitness. There was a marathon and a TEDx talk. And of course, an important aspect where I opened up a creche for women, because I think having gone through difficulties of bringing children, I felt all educational institutions, large organizations need to look after the women who are working there by having a great facility. So this is something we started in the college. And in this journey, which was riddled with, like in one of the quotes I gave for Women's Day, I said, I walked in with my eyes open. I didn't expect to find a bed of roses. I think all of us should do that, accept our challenges. Don't choose for easy ways, easy paths. But along the way, when you choose to challenge, slow change came in, that you don't challenge only for yourself. The choose to challenge has to be with a responsibility. How it's going to impact the rest of it. So you choose to challenge, but you choose to challenge wisely. And in that, I quote the Serenity Prayer by Reinhold Niebuhr, who says, God grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. There would be times that, like, if I didn't get a post-graduation, there was delays in study leave, postings were not working out. I think if you ask me, bottom of my heart, I think that is the key mantra, that I didn't let it destroy me, neither did I let it make me bitter. I think the important was keep away from waste. Do not waste time on negative ideas. Why me? Why am I not getting this? Say, okay, I've got this. What am I going to do with this? I think that is the attitude we all need to develop. And having reached that stage of wisdom, everything became a cakewalk. Whether it was working in collaboration with the railways to get COVID. I think my talk wouldn't have been complete without talking of COVID in these days. So there was COVID care on wheels. Within 2 weeks, we changed a whole lot of railway trains into care facilities. Or you can see this, 22nd June was this level ground and talking with all the DRDO team. And by 5th July, a whole hospital was set up. Capability, I think, is tremendous. But there is no question of trying to do anything alone. You soon learn that everything is about teamwork. There's no place for I. I only leads to illness. It is only we that takes us to wellness. Just look at the spelling. You have to get away with I, and nothing of this would have been without a team. So how can you make a difference, each one of you? I think don't bind yourself in a thing that I'm a girl. Don't let gender come in your way. Just get out of that Lakshman Rekha. You can do everything. Today in this country, and those especially who have got education have to break all stereotypes and say, okay, and because what you do impacts the next few generations and hundreds of other women. So cross it. Don't just learn to earn. Education is for society. So reach out and make a difference to the others. Journey is long and arduous. Find mentors. Sometimes it may be your peers who are your mentors. Mentors can be, you can read through books for law, but they need to be someone you can talk to. And I think teachers, parents, peer group are the best mentors. Syllabus is but a guideline. No one says that, you have to read only that much and pass that exam. So go beyond this, because today's generation of just multiple choice questions, you can't get. To change information and to knowledge and wisdom, you need to go beyond multiple choice questions. And also we are in a rush. For some reason, we go into a rush for degrees. I think there's no time for assimilation. I've personally been extremely happy. They say, if you join the army, you can't do a PG early. Where's the hurry? You have a whole life ahead of you. I did an undergraduation. 4 years later, did a post-graduation. Nearing age of 40, went in for study leave. After that, did fellowships. Went back to education and did a medical educational research. I feel education is a continuous process. I'll stop being a teacher. I'll stop being a good human being the day I stop learning. So degrees and rushing into it is not just this thing. Especially for yourself, think for yourself and your passion. So follow those. And we all need money, but how much is enough is for you to decide, because money cannot buy happiness. And at the end of the day, work is worship and duty is devotion. And therefore, my map, when you're lost, I say, fine, you need a map. So you have Google Maps for finding your way around. But in life, you just need a mentor, the correct attitude of never say die, and a passion. That only is yours and yours alone. And that is something which I think is important. So I would close this thing with a little message to share that, girls, you are tremendously capable. You have it in you, each one of you. It may be in different measures, in different areas. Find that inner calling and move out of your comfort zone. It's all a perception. You can be comfortable anywhere. It's how you respond to it. Learn your time management. Spend a little time on keeping yourself fit. If you don't have a fit body, you can't have a fit mind. Into your routine, women tend to neglect their health. Start, even till date, there's not a day that I won't have my walk or go in for a little bit of a yoga. I think it's important to have that, because you keep remaining energetic. Dream big to bring about a change. Set your goals and don't give up. Have confidence in yourself, but be realistic. Setbacks, failures are part of life. The ball has to hit down. The difference is whether it's going to bounce up like a rubber ball or crack like a glass ball. That again is yours to choose. So choose to challenge, be bold to stand up, and I'm sure, that nothing can stop you. And love to use this slide. Say, I feel blessed and honored to have 3 hats, that of a soldier, that of a teacher, and that of a doctor. But in that, I am my biggest challenge. But I need a team. And the day it goes away and replaced, and I think the path to wellness for me has been because we have collectively achieved this all. And I would end with acknowledgements to my teachers, to my parents, my students and patients and colleagues who've taught me so much and made my journey worthwhile. I would also like to bow my head to Tehrim Dass, a great lady in whose honor this oration has been instituted. And I would like to thank you all. Feel very humbled that I was chosen to deliver this lecture today. Thank you so much, and Jai Hind.
Jai Hind and thank you. This is one of the most inspiring talks I have ever heard. General Kanitkar, you have put oceans and volumes of wisdom in a very inspiring, succinct talk illustrated with brilliant visuals. So we're very happy that in today's talk we have such a audience of family members, of friends, of well wishers, and of course, the most amazing students. Thank you again. We'll now go for question and answer.
Girls, it's so lovely meeting you all. Can you all hear me? I'm open to questions. Just shoot.
Thank you so much, ma'am. I am Seema Singh Katyar from the Department of English of Avadh Girls Degree College, and I shall be moderating the question answer round. First of all, a great thank you for walking us through your life journey. Seeing that you have roots in Lucknow, इस वक्त एक शेर आपकी जिंदगी को देखकर जहन में आता है और वो है कि किनारे से ही तूफान का तमाशा देखने वाले, किनारे से ही तूफान का तमाशा देखने वाले, किनारे से कभी अंदाजे तूफान नहीं होता. सो आपकी इस जर्नी को AFMC से अभी तक की जो यहाँ तक पहुंचने की जर्नी है उसको देखकर आपने तो बहुत उसको इस तरह से प्रेजेंट किया एज इफ इट वाज अ केक वॉक, बट हमें पता है कि किनारे से देखने से कभी भी अंदाजा नहीं लगता कि असली में थपेड़े आपने झेले हैं. बस इन्हीं सब मसलों को जानने के लिए वी हैव group of students raring to put their questions across to you. So I would like to acknowledge first of all that the journey that you've shared from AFMC to being a 3-star Lieutenant General in the Defense Services, it is actually a tour de force for all of us. And a hats off to you for reaching those heights and, opening those areas for other girls to follow into your footsteps. Now, I have with us Ritu, who would like to post her question first. Ritu, you can ask your question.
Good morning, ma'am.
Good morning.
Ma'am, you once said in an interview that women are extremely capable. But sadly, the society still continues to doubt it. So my question to you is, did you have to persevere much to convince your family to allow you to join the defense services?
Absolutely. जैसे मैंने कहा, अब लखनऊ में हूँ तो मुझे दिखाना कि मैं आप लोगों के साथ थोड़ी हिंदी भी अपनी बात कर लूं. और सबसे पहले AFMC तो दूर की बात है, जब मैं लखनऊ पहुंची और वो भी केंद्रीय विद्यालय में और मुझे हिंदी का एक शब्द नहीं आता था. आप मानिए 9th स्टैंडर्ड में एक लड़की आई है, मतलब मजे की बात, मेरा मेडन नाम था माधुरी खोत और मुझे ये भी नहीं पता था सब, क्योंकि मैं वो बॉम्बे वाली हिंदी, अरे टर्न मारने का क्या, किधर जाने का रे, that was all the Hindi I knew because my father had been abroad and I'd been trained in international schools and all over the countryside. They would call khoti and I didn't even, and I said ye kya hota hai, and I didn't know what it meant. From there I took the first challenge, Kendriya Vidyalaya Lucknow, और लखनऊ में मुझे इस काबिल बनाया कि मैं बाद में AFMC पहुंचूं. और मुझे देखा कि मैंने हिंदी तो CBSE के लिए सीखनी ही पड़ेगी, तो मैंने इतनी मेहनत लगाई कि जो हमारे स्कूल की हमेशा हिंदी में फर्स्ट आने वाली जो लड़की थी उससे मुझे CBSE में 2 नंबर ज्यादा मिले. और आज मैं बहुत अपने आप को खुशकिस्मत समझती हूँ कि मैं आप लोगों से भी और लखनऊ आके हिंदी में बात करने में मुझे अभी कोई झिझक नहीं आती है. So I think that is what life teaches you. You need to be thrown in with challenges and you have to, it's your choice whether you're going to take it or you're going to stand up. So when I said, when dad, all I had to say is, Dad, I could not do that, but didn't I do it? So this is something I want. But at the same time, you have to also learn when to give in. So because parents and teachers understand you better. And it was in this same Kendriya Vidyalaya, I thought I was extremely good at physics and maths. And my father being an engineer, that was the subject, it was of my choice. And I wouldn't have been a doctor, though my grandmother had been my role model. And it was my principal, Dr. Ganguly, I still remember him. Within 2 weeks of school, he calls my father and says, कि ये लड़की एक बहुत अच्छी डॉक्टर बन सकती है, आप इसको समझाइए, ये काहे को मैथ्स और फिजिक्स लेके बैठी हुई है. एंड माय फादर सेड अगर वो इतने समझदार और इतने पढ़े लिखे, एक पीएचडी है और आपके प्रिंसिपल आपको देख के मुझे कह रहे हैं, तो आप अपनी दादी जैसे बायोलॉजी लेके मेडिसिन करिए. आई सेड आई नेवर थॉट ऑफ इट बिकॉज आई वाज सो fond of this thing. I changed course and I went into medicine, and I can't imagine myself doing anything else. So when your elders look at you, your teachers look at you, they look at you also, and they are your well-wishers. So knowing when to challenge and when not to is the art that each one has to develop.
Thank you so much, ma'am. We do have NCC in our college, and there are about 180 students, NCC cadets, who are already excelling themselves and getting a name for themselves in the city of Lucknow and outside. And today, I'm sure many of them would have found their calling after listening to you. We have with us NCC cadet. She is Anjali Limbu, and she wants to put across a question to you.
Jai Hind, ma'am. I'm under officer Limbu.
Go ahead, Anjali. You are audible.
Yeah, you're audible.
You often say, never give up, just give back. I'm an NCC cadet, like many others here, aspiring to be in the defense services with permanent commission and combat position. What would be your advice to us?
My advice, you already, the fact that you've joined NCC, the fact that you girls are wearing a uniform, you have won half the battle. Because you acquired, what is it that the soldier, you're learning discipline, you're learning a smart, the way you carry yourself, you're learning the principles what the soldier is taught, where your country comes first, your organization next, your people thereafter, and yourself last. So these are the values one, don't give up on your thing, the sky is the limit, every avenue is opening up. Today, permanent commission is being given to ladies. Ladies are being taken in other than officers. Already we have women in the Assam Rifles, we have in the CRPF, military police. We're having women joining in every field. So just go for it. Don't give up. But however, have a plan B. Because finally, everyone, if you have thousands and thousands want to, don't let it affect you. Suppose it doesn't, still consider yourself extremely lucky that you can still give back, because you have already gained so much of what's the best of the military, even as a cadet. And you won't believe it, even in you're part of the NCC, the Prime Minister attends only the special Republic Day parade of the NCC. That's the only special parade which is, because the country respects and looks up to these people, because you're going to take that back into society, whatever you choose to be. Once an NCC cadet, it's for life.
Thank you, ma'am.
We are celebrating 175th year of India's independence, and Uttar Pradesh government has launched Mission Shakti. The core area of this mission is to empower women. Now here I have Preeti Gautam in this background. She would like to pose a question to you. I invite Preeti Gautam.
Jai Hind, ma'am.
Extremely
great insights today. My question to you is, how difficult or how easy is it to be in the defense services?
I think it is as easy or difficult as you consider. Because honestly, along my entire journey, I've never ever thought of myself doing something different. I just felt I have to do what I've chosen to do. The gender never came in. So it was like being in any vocation, any job. If you're there with your passion, then the Sanskrit shlok goes, Karmanye vadikaraste ma phaleshu kadachanam. Because you've gone in it with a passion, right? So you're just enjoying the process. So I have enjoyed this journey of 39 years, enjoyed every day as I wake up for a new work to be done. So that is where I think it's been easy, because to be able to get up enthusiastic every morning, even at the age of 60, and say, okay, what am I going to do? I think I feel very, very lucky to be able to do that. And as difficult, I think, as again, because I know that these difficulties are what made me what I am today. Had I had it a straight walk, it was a straight journey. I'm driving in you must have seen on the expressway for hours. If you're driving, you can even fall asleep at the wheel because it's so boring. You need sometimes a little cow coming in or a little speed breaker coming in, where gets you alert and gets back onto your focus. So I think this is what is important, and those difficulties are part and parcel. And I am glad that I had support, I had encouragement from all sorts, and we all need to remember, we all have it. It is for us to reach out and acknowledge and make use of it, to let them and get those lovely golden scars yourself.
Thank you.
Gender discrimination continues to plague our social life, and especially every arena of social life of women. And women are really having it tough. In this background, here is Harshita, who would like to pose a question to you. I invite Harshita.
Good morning, ma'am.
Good morning.
You are an epitome of inspiration to all of us. Ma'am, my question is, ma'am, you said an officer does not have a gender. We shall be grateful if you share an anecdote from your iconic journey in the defense services that reinforces this.
Yeah, all my roles, a doctor, teacher, soldier, or when I hear now Deputy Chief, Integrated Defense Staff. So therefore I say it doesn't have a gender. It is because how people look at me that gives me the gender, isn't it? It is not what I see myself as. So the role itself is doesn't have any gender. So if I consider myself, no, I cannot take this on because I'm a woman, I'm already seeing myself different. In fact, in lighter vein, when they were interviewing me on Women's Day, I said, thank you so much for 8th March because it reminds me I'm a woman every year. But otherwise, none of them do have gender. Having said that, I'm proud of being a woman because we women bring something to the table which men do not. And therefore, the country has woken up to realize, the companies have woken up to realize, the corporate world has woken up. Today they're talking of inclusivity. But what is our culture? Ram was never without Sita. A puja was never completed without the man and the woman sitting there together. Agar nahi to supari rakhte the, but they would have both the genders. The ancient thing, nowhere is there that a human is complete. A common WhatsApp which went around. Why is woman more powerful? Because woman has man in it. She has he in it. Female has male in it. So, she is the stronger, the Shakti. But for some reason, she got sidetracked. But how can a wheel cart go ahead if you do not have both the wheels walking in tandem? So that is very, very important. And an anecdote where people, like I told you one where I was, Harshita, when I was first posted and I was marched up to the GOC and said, what is a woman doing here? The same thing years later, I went as the G-Med, as they call it, in Udhampur. And even never asked my colleagues, but even my DG was a little worried and said, are you sure you want to go? So I quickly asked him, am I being asked this question because I'm a woman? Then he went, no, it's not that. It's just that, it's a tough posting that you're volunteering for. I said, sir, if I've volunteered for it, I know I want to do it. So I think these are small things. Yeah.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am. There is another question that Rupali wants to ask you. Now, this is in the background because we still see that there's gender division of labor, especially in the domestic domain. So we see women shouldering a lot of work at home despite working outside home and men contributing little. Now, this is what we see all around us. So, to this background, Rupal wants to ask you a question. Rupal, please ask your question.
Jai Hind, ma'am.
Jai Hind, Rupal.
Good afternoon, ma'am. Ma'am, I wanted to ask, do you consider it difficult or easy to balance work and home, being in defense?
No, I think anyone who's balancing home and work would have it difficult. It's not easy. Any balancing is difficult. And this thing's more and more even the male today. Because as women are coming out into the workforce, even the men have to adjust. The problem is, we are at that cusp of a situation where we've slowly encouraging women to, we've brought up our daughters like sons. I think it's time we bring up our sons like daughters. Because if we want to do that, we need to think out of the box and say, teach them equal amount of skills, and I've done it. I feel very proud that my son is as good a cook or better than me, in fact, and he can handle everything. So I think this is what is going to change our workplace, where balancing is there for everyone. But when you have to do two things, you have to do. A woman is little better equipped because we are genetically, sort of a improved version of being able to multitask. And therefore, I think we can handle it. And in that, if we can do something, we should do it. We should not try to say, no, why should I do everything? So areas where you feel that you can do it, you just take it on. But areas you can't, you should learn to be able to say no. It's easy to say when you're educated, you're in an environment, I understand, like I am or you all educated girls are, but it's going to be huge. The challenge ahead of us is to take this thought process down to the grassroots. The day is not far when we would, because the women at all levels, they're already, if you see in the farms where they work, they look after the cattle also, they're looking after the children also, and still they find time to fill hookah for the husband and come and put it in front of his charpai. So, because she has been genetically trained, this is part of your job. And so the society. So we don't want to create an unrest. Let the rest come. We don't want to tell her, don't stop doing everything. We can give her empowerment, get her respect. She will get respect if she starts, firstly her housework, this is given value. She's educated. I think the true thought process changes. The only single thing, you see, the state which is doing the best, whether it's infant mortality, health, is Kerala. And the single factor which has changed it is female literacy. So I think that is what the government is now, whether it's Beti Bachao, Beti Padhao, all the yojanas is because 50% of your workforce, and if we need to look, if we are looking at India reaching there at the end of, this decade, and the vision that our Honorable Prime Minister is showing us, a dream, he realizes that you have to have the double engine on your aircraft. It can't go with one engine. It has to fly full throttle. So, and the women are going to contribute in big measure.
Thank you, ma'am.
Yes.
So much. We have an extremely inquisitive lot of students on a campus, and some of them would like to take you back to your student days at AFMC. So here is Anak Mishra, who would like to put that question across to you. Anak, you may ask your question.
Good afternoon, ma'am.
Hi, Anna.
Good afternoon, ma'am. We shall be extremely grateful if you could give us a glimpse of your student life at the AFMC, Pune, and how did it feel to be placed as a dean and the deputy commandant of your alma mater?
Student days was, like I said, when you get in through a big competitive exam, when I reached AFMC, it was like from a small village, I had gone into a toy shop which had exotic toys, and I didn't ye bhi le lu, wo bhi utha lu, wo bhi kar lu. So that's part of it, because you supposed to, there were clubs, societies, and being into everything that I wanted to take a taste of everything. So you feel suddenly liberated and get into, and I told you I failed my first exam. And जब मेरे कान मेरे ऐसे total twist किए गए और मेरे खुद प्रोफेसर जो एनाटॉमी के थे उन्होंने कहा कि तुम यहाँ पढ़ने आई हो, पेरेंट्स ने इसलिए भेजा है, चिट्ठी लिखूं घर में. So that was the time when I said, "Na baba, because I will be taken out of the college again." लड़ के आई हूँ यहाँ पे और मतलब अगर यहाँ से अगर निकाली गई तो दोबारा मेरा सपना पूरा नहीं हो सकता है. So it started with that, and that is where I learned the first lesson that I have to find the time. So I started back. Okay, I was a morning person. So I said, come what may. I made a vow on that day. Come what may, for the next 4.5 years, I'm going to get up at 5 in the morning and study 5 to 7. So that the rest of the day I have time to do fun. So it was exam. Like it was a difficult thing for a teenager, but when you get into a problem, only then do you find a solution. So once I took that decision, and most people slept in the morning. So I had a peaceful, quiet hostel room and the whole shanti se, or I would get up, put on my light and just finish my day's work on a daily basis. So this was something small. And the second thing was because I was heavily into sports and running. So मुझे एक बहुत अच्छा नाम दिया गया, which I'll share with you. आज तक मेरे बैचमेट्स हैं मुझे स्पीडी नाम से बुलाते हैं, और आज भी इसलिए जब मैं डीन बन के गई और बच्चे जब क्रिप कर रहे थे कि हमें दौड़ मतलब we have to army this thing running, so we started a marathon club, or just to prove them that it can, I pushed myself even there and ran 10 kilometers for the marathon. So that is what is important. And this year they sent me an invite ki ma'am, we are doing it in your own city, put your timer and run. And I'd forgotten, and morning the pictures started coming in, and my husband got up and said, क्या कर रही हो? मैंने अपना जो रनिंग वाली AFMC मैराथन की टी थी वो पहनी और दिल्ली में ऊपर कार्डिगन पहना और गई बाहर, जूते पहन के दौड़ लगा के आ गई, और मैं कहा अब फोटो भेजो, अब मैं बच्चों को मुंह दिखा सकती हूँ. So I think that is what the spirit is. So I told them even in Delhi I have run my run.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am. That was the last question. If anything else that you would like to say to the students before I hand over the mic to Dr. Das.
I think it's been absolutely fantastic, and I've spent so much time talking, and I think the best part of it was you all able to come in and ask some questions. But I know that time was limited, so you all had to pre-plan and get your these things together. God willing, I would be able to. I'm sure in life there would be opportunities where I look forward to, as I don't say grow old, because I keep telling people I'm not going to retire. I may retire from service, but I'll never tire. So that's the spirit, and I like to see someday, maybe 10 years, 20 years from now, somewhere I'm walking and one of you girls walks up to and see, ma'am, aapka lecture suna tha, aaj main ye kar rahi hu, and I look up to you with pride. That's the day I look forward to. Thank you so much.
It's been mind-blowing, and there are many take-homes. Yeah. The most important being Ubuntu. I am because we are. I am because we are. And that kind of encapsulates so much of your journey. Yeah. I will now request Dr. Upma Chaturvedi to propose the vote of thanks, following which we'll have the national anthem.
Ma'am, you are truly an inspiration for all of us. I want everyone to give her standing ovation.
Oh, thank you.
My esteemed guest of honor, Lieutenant General Madhuri Kanitkar, Colonel Anvesh Chaturvedi, members of the Das family, Dr. Amrita Das, Mr. Ranjit Das, Ms. Sunita De, Ms. Kavita Das, and Mr. Ajit Das, valued members of the Institute for Career Studies, Ms. Zareen Vikaji, President, Avadh Educational Society, Ms. Sethi, Vice President, Avadh Educational Society, Professor Nishi Pandey, Manager, Secretary, Avadh Educational Society, my dear dedicated faculty members and my staff and students of Avadh Girls Degree College and media person. On behalf of Avadh Girls Degree College and Institute of Career Studies, it is my proud privilege to propose vote of thanks as we conclude this memorial lecture. It gives me immense pleasure in extending a heartfelt gratitude to each one of you for gracing this event with your presence. Your enthusiastic participation has made this event a memorable one. A grateful thanks to Lieutenant General Madhuri Kanitkar for taking time out from her busy schedule to deliver this inspiring lecture. Colonel Chaturvedi for coordinating this event with her. The Institute of Career Studies for sponsoring the memorial lecture and, of course, refreshment. Dr. Seema Singh Katiyar, Dean of Students, for moderating the question and answer round. Mr. Naveen Gupta and Mr. Abhishek Bali for their technical support. The media persons for being present here. Last but not the least, I would like to place a record my earnest appreciation to all the members of Team ICS and AGDC for their invaluable contribution in the conceptualizing, planning and execution of this event. Jai Hind.
Thank you very much, General Kanitkar. It was a wonderful talk, and I really took to heart all the things you said. I am grateful to you for doing this for us.
Thank you so much and have a great day to all of you. Jai Hind.
Jai Hind. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you so much.
भारत भाग्य विधाता पंजाब सिंध गुजरात मराठा द्राविड़ उत्कल बंगा हिमाचल यमुना गंगा उच्चल जलधि तरंगा तब शुभ नामे जागे तब शुभ आशीष मांगे गाहे सब जय गाथा जन गण विधायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता